Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and today it's just me going solo again. Just wanted to share with you some things that are on my heart. So it's been quite the rough week for our family. Actually, it's been a rough year. If you're watching my the video here, you can see that I got in a fight with an iPad earlier this week. That's the least of the concerns. But my brother-in-law passed away just a few days ago, and he's the one I talk about that has the orphanage in Guatemala. So it's Melane's sister and her husband. So Jay and Valerie Rankin run that orphanage in Guatemala that Melaine and I have been to several times. Haven't been there in a few years since Callan was born. But he was diagnosed with cancer in 2016 and was ready to go. And so passed away earlier this week. So it's been rough on our family. And of course, Elaine's been helping out a lot with Valerie, who's in town. And I just feel for her family, all those kids in Guatemala that call him Pappy. And so I wanted to talk about some things related to that. And I wanted to, this year's been rough for us. My father-in-law passed away in July of last year, almost exactly a year ago to the date that Jay went home to be with the Lord. And then 6 months later in January, almost exactly to the day, my dad passed away. And then 6 months after that, almost exactly to the day, literally like a day apart, Jay goes home too. So a lot of transition in our family over the last year. And it's been rough, guys. Definitely been rough. And so I wanted to share with you, it's made me think about my life and what I want to accomplish. And so let me read to you Jay's obituary, because this will just get you thinking. And I know it's not all going to be about him today. I want to turn this around and make this about you. So Jay Rankin went to be with the Lord on July 10th, 2022. He was born to Earl and Gloria Rankin on July 20th, 1971 in Ontario, Canada, where he grew up with his 2 older sisters, Linda and Lori. Jay moved to the United States to attend Bible school at Heritage of Faith in Texas, where he met his wife, Valerie Guthrie, whom he soon married on September 17th, 1995. They began their lives serving together, serving God in other ministries, including Jerry Savelle Ministries and Kenneth Copeland Ministries. Jay had a heart for mission since a child and began doing mission trips and led trips to Africa, South America, Central America, and Asia. God called Jay and Valerie to move to Guatemala in 2008, where they started serving House of Destiny Orphanage and quickly became the new directors. They recently opened a second home for their children. Jay dedicated the rest of his life to the care of many precious children in Guatemala who call him Papi. Jay's legacy lives on and continues to bear much fruit in his family and in the many children he has taken in his home to care for and call his own. Jay touched many lives with his love, humor, and joy for life. He is survived by his wife, Valerie Rankin, and his children, Kendrick, Dylan, Monica, Darlene, Eswin, and Iris. Those are their kids in Guatemala that they've kind of quote adopted. Honestly, that's their family. His parents, Earl and Gloria Rankin, his sisters, Linda Bushin, Lori Lipscomb, nieces, Jenna and Brianna, nephews, James and Jake, great nieces, Zara and Starlet. A memorial for Jay will be held in Guatemala at a later date. In lieu of flowers, please make donations in Jay's memory to the ministry he founded, going into all the world ministries at www.giatw.org. So if this is on your heart, if something you want to bless some kids in Guatemala, that you can go to giatw.org and donate there. Excuse me. So this has just made me think. I look at his obituary and I see that, there's so much more to Jay. I mean, things like, he was my eating buddy. When he was in town, we'd go out to eat. We'd love to go to places like Texas de Brazil, Fogo de Chao, those Brazilian steakhouses. We'd go to Mexican places. We'd eat about anything. Jay was my friend, and just an awesome brother in the Lord. He loved hockey. He loved to go to hockey games. He was a huge, I think it was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but he'd go to Dallas Stars games. We went to a couple of hockey games, went to several Dallas Mavericks games together. We just hung out. We hung out when he was in town, but I look at that obituary and I think, his whole life is summed up in just those few paragraphs. But there's so much more to us. All these little things that we do, all our hobbies, all our interests, those don't make it into an obituary. The things that make it into an obituary are the most important, the things that you want to be remembered for, the things that we remember each other for. And so it just gets me thinking about what would be on mine. What would mine say if I were to move on to heaven? What is that? What would people say about me? What would those 3 paragraphs be about me in my life? My friend Terry Savelle-Foy has an awesome video. I'll link to it. But she has an awesome video about how she stays motivated. And she talks about a time when she was in high school. Her and her friend it was the Thursday before homecoming. And her friend were cheerleaders for Crowley High School here in Texas, south of Fort Worth. And it was the Thursday night before homecoming, and it was called Paint the Town Night. It was where like all the cheerleaders would go around to all the football players' homes and decorate their rooms, and they would literally like decorate the town in the school colors. And she and her friend went to Sonic Drive-In that Thursday night, and then right next to them pulled up a truck, and in the back of the truck were all these teenagers. One of them was a football player, I think, and or just one of their friends maybe, but he was after the Sonic Drive-In. She gets a call from her friend who was with her at Sonic, and she said, Terry, I've heard that there's been an accident and Paul didn't make it. Paul was their friend. One of them was in the back of the truck. So this kid was just a teenager. So what had happened, he fell out of the back of the truck and got ran over, was care flighted to a hospital, and passed away. She said that next day, everybody at school was just, there was no school spirit whatsoever, as you can imagine. Everything was just quiet. Kids were just in a daze, she said. And she describes her English teacher's assignment that day. And she said, everybody grab a piece of paper, put your name at the top, put your birthday, and then put last night's date. And then she said, start writing your own obituary. And she said it was really kind of morbid, but that exercise, she said, changed her life. And so I want you to think about doing this. This is something I'm going to do. Think about and I know some of you are listening to this in the car. Some of you are maybe sitting in your office or whatever, but when you have some time, just some time to think, grab a piece of paper or open up, Word on your computer, write down your birth date, and just put a date in the future. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be today's date, but think about what would people say about you at your funeral? What would your parents say about you? How would your siblings describe you? How did you spend your time? What are the things that you are or will be known for? It's not going to be, those of you that are selling on Amazon, it's not going to be, he was an Amazon seller and sold X amount of dollars, or sold, had a beauty care line. That probably is not the stuff that's going to make it in there. It's going to be the important stuff, the stuff that is legacy type things. What were you really known for in this life? How did you serve people? How did you make people feel? In Jay's obituary, it said that he touched many lives with his love, humor, and joy for life. Those are the big things. How you made people feel, how you served other people, the orphanage that they started. That's the big stuff. And that would be exactly what Jay would want to be remembered for. So what would you be known for? What are those things that are the big stuff in your life? And maybe you haven't done it yet, and that's okay. So as they did that exercise in high school, and Terry said that she's revised hers many, many, many times, but she said this, the teacher at the end said, students, you've not written your obituaries. You've just written your dreams. Now go live them. I mean, essentially, guys, that exercise is describing what success looks like for you. It's the most important things that you want to accomplish in life. It's when you are, on your deathbed and ready to go. It's those things that, that are the most important things that you did. But also there might be some things like right now, if you could imagine, I don't want you to think, it's not fun to think about this, but imagine you being on your deathbed now. What are there regrets? Do you have any regrets about the things that you didn't do? Those actions that you wanted to take, that business you wanted to create, that person you wanted to reach out to, that trip you wanted to take. What are those big things that you still haven't done that you want to do in your life? What actions can you take today to move you towards that? Terry says that that was a life-changing experience, writing that down. It was destiny pointing, and it was discipline provoking. It was life-changing. It was destiny pointing. It was discipline provoking. She also says, write your dream obituary and then live it before you die. One of my favorite scriptures is John 17:4, and I've said this several times on this podcast, but it just kind of is a guide for me. And I love the Message translation of this. And it says, I glorified you on earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do. I glorified you on earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do. So I want to challenge you. Take some time this week. Write what you want your obituary to look like. What are those big things? What are those 3 paragraphs? We only get 3 paragraphs. It's not going to be these little things. You're not going to be remembered for, just the stuff that doesn't matter. What are the things that matter to you? And how do people see you now? What will people say about you when you pass on? Think about that. Are you happy with the way it would read now? And if not, what are you going to do today to change that? So I challenge you to write that down. Do this. I'm going to do this myself. What do those 3 paragraphs look like for you? What are those big things that you want to have accomplished by the time that you pass? And look at those then and take the steps. What are those steps then that you need to take today to fulfill that? So let's just say, for example, that you've always had a desire in your heart to do a missions trip. Maybe you have a dream to be a missionary and you keep putting it off. Maybe you had a dream to start a business. You keep putting it off. Well, just take one small step today. What would it look like if you were going to take a step toward becoming a missionary? Well, maybe you look for a book to read. Maybe you you talk to a current missionary, ask him what it's like. Maybe you reach out to a missions organization that sends people out. Just make that call, send that email, just get the ball rolling. Even if you're not sure exactly what it looks like, just take some steps, whatever you think those steps are. Just take something, do something today to move towards those big things that you want to be remembered for, because you do not want to be, about ready to pass and regret not doing this. You have time now. You can do it today. You can make that call, send that email, contact that person, read that book, listen to that podcast, take that course about your new business that you want to start, but do something today. So I know that this has been, a different episode, and, talking about my brother-in-law is hard. But it makes me think about what I want my life to look like, in years and years down the road? I plan on being around a long time, but what am I doing on a daily basis? Is it contributing to those big things that I'm going to be remembered for? And if not, I need to make some time in my day, prioritize that, and work on those big things. Take steps on the big things that are really honestly going to matter. All this other stuff, I don't know that I'm going to be remembered for the Legends group that I have, helping people sell online. I think that's a big thing to me. And that's definitely impacted a lot of lives. And I'm super proud of that. But is that really going to make it in my obituary? I don't know. Somebody else is going to write it for me unless I write it for myself. I want to at least do the exercise now, and maybe somebody will read it and use it. But I got to live it. I have to live those paragraphs before it can actually be written for real. And so just think about that, guys. What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want other people to say about you? And take those steps today to move forward to that. I don't want any regrets. I don't want to look back on my life and think, gosh, I could have done that. I should have done that. I missed that. I was too scared to step out and do that. I do not want that to be descriptive of me. I don't want anybody to say, or myself to say, man, I missed it there. I know I should have done that, and I was just too scared to step out. Take those steps, guys. I'm here to help you. If you have any questions about starting a business, if that's something that's been on your heart, you need to create other streams of income. Some of you are interested in creating a business so that you can spend more time doing those big, important things that you would love to do. I've talked to several people who want to be big givers, who want to be able to take income from a business to bless missions. And so you got to start somewhere. You got to start ASAP and start today. Do something today. But reach out to me if you have any questions about any of the steps that you think you might need to take to move towards those big things in your life. Just email me, ryan@ryanrieger.com. But I encourage you, spend some time, because it's not just writing your obituary. You are really writing down what success looks like for you. If you had to boil it all down to 3 paragraphs, what do you want success to look like for you? What will be a successful life that you could say, I did it. I ran my race. I did what I was called to do. What are those things? Those big, big, big rocks. You've heard the story about the big rocks, and you put the little rocks in the water, and that's more about prioritizing time and all that. But, those big rocks are the only things that are going to get written in your obituary. What are those for you? Write them down. Do this exercise. Again, I'm going to do it myself. I think it's going to be awesome, because it'll just help me really boil down to what am I about? What am I supposed to be doing? What are those big things in my life that I need to be working towards? And it'll help minimize all the other little things, all the little concerns, the getting in a fight with an iPad and having a little, hopefully I don't have a scar here, but it makes those things not important. It helps me to focus on those big things that I really want to be remembered for. So I love you guys. Hope this has been encouraging to you. If you're a praying person, you can pray for our family. It's been kind of rough. We'll get through it. God always sustains us. He is faithful. He is good. He loves us. And He loves you guys. So I love you too. I thank you for listening, and seriously email me, ryan@ryanrieger.com, if you just need some help moving in the right direction. So, all right, guys, love you. See you next week.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.